OpenAI is still building a super app, and nobody's really talking about why that matters. Here's the thing. While everyone obsesses over ChatGPT's latest features and Claude's benchmark scores, OpenAI is quietly assembling something that could fundamentally change how billions of people use technology every single day. A super app, if you haven't heard the term, is basically what WeChat became in China, one single application that does everything. You chat there, you shop there, you pay bills, you book rides, you manage your entire digital life without ever leaving the app. OpenAI's version aims to do something similar for AI. Imagine opening one application where ChatGPT handles your writing, but also manages your calendar, processes your emails, controls your smart home, orders your groceries, and suggests what to watch, all without you switching between 5 different apps and 5 different login screens. That's the ambition. And according to TechCrunch's reporting just 2 days ago, they're still plugging away at it behind closed doors. What's fascinating is the timing. Most AI companies are racing to build better models, bigger processors, flashier features. But OpenAI's making a different bet entirely. They're betting that what users actually want isn't just smarter AI, it's AI that integrates seamlessly into every corner of their lives. Think of it like the difference between owning 50 specialized tools versus one Swiss Army knife. Both get the job done, but only one fits in your pocket. And here's where it gets interesting. This super app could reshape the entire AI industry's competitive landscape in ways most people haven't fully considered yet. To understand why OpenAI is pursuing a super app, you need to know what they've learned over the past few years. ChatGPT launched in November 2022 as a simple chat interface. Type a prompt, get an answer back. Revolutionary, sure, but fundamentally limited in scope. It was good at conversation and content generation, but it couldn't remember your preferences, couldn't access your files, couldn't control your devices. Users wanted more. They wanted ChatGPT to know their writing style and remember it. They wanted it to handle their workflow, not just answer random questions. They wanted it integrated into their entire digital existence, not isolated in a browser tab. So OpenAI started bolting on features, file uploads, custom GPTs, plugins, voice mode, vision capabilities. Each update expanded what the platform could do. But there's a fundamental problem with that approach. It's fragmented. You've got the web version, the mobile app, the API, different feature sets everywhere, inconsistent experiences. Meanwhile, competitors like Google are doing the same thing across Gmail, Docs, Calendar, and a dozen other products. Everything works together, but it's all separate apps. That fragmentation creates friction. You have to think about which tool to use for which task. You have to switch contexts constantly. You lose time and attention in the gaps between applications. WeChat solved this problem by making one app where everything lives. You don't ask yourself, should I use WeChat Chat or WeChat Pay or WeChat News? You just open WeChat and everything's there, integrated, personalized to your needs. OpenAI's super app thesis is that AI should work the same way. And here's what the headlines aren't telling you. Building a super app isn't primarily a technology problem anymore. A lot of people think building a super app is about engineering smarter AI. That's part of it, obviously. You need a model that can understand context across dozens of different tasks and remember user preferences over time. But the harder problem is entirely different. It's about platform architecture, user data integration, permissions management, and psychological design. Think about it this way. ChatGPT today doesn't know anything about you except what you tell it in that specific conversation. Every conversation starts fresh. A true super app can't work like that. It needs persistent knowledge. It needs to remember that you take your coffee black, that you prefer emails at 9 a.m., that you're allergic to shellfish, that your calendar is packed Tuesdays and Thursdays. That requires storing massive amounts of personal data securely and convincing users to trust you with it. That's a regulatory minefield. In the European Union alone, the GDPR means every data point needs explicit user consent. In the United States, different states have different privacy laws. And then there's the permission infrastructure. If the super app handles your banking, your health data, your smart home controls, who has access to what? How do you ensure a compromised ChatGPT session doesn't accidentally expose your medical records or drain your bank account? Traditional apps handle this through strict permission boundaries. But a super app's entire value proposition is breaking down those boundaries so everything flows together seamlessly. That's a contradiction you have to solve through design and trust. And the integration piece, that's enormous. Connecting to your calendar, your email, your smart home, your bank, your shopping accounts, each of those requires partnerships, APIs, security agreements. OpenAI can't just build this alone. They need cooperation from hundreds of companies, each of which has their own incentives and concerns. Yet somehow, that's exactly what they are attempting to construct. The closest existing model is WeChat in China. By 2024, WeChat had over 1 billion monthly active users, one app. And inside that app, you can chat with friends, send money to them, book a taxi, order food delivery, pay your utilities, book a doctor's appointment, check the weather, read news, play games, and watch short videos. It's staggering. But here's the crucial context. WeChat emerged in an environment where smartphone banking was nascent, where multiple payment systems were fragmented, and where Chinese regulators eventually consolidated around supporting a few major super apps. That's different from the Western market. In the United States and Europe, we've got PayPal, Stripe, and 100 other payment systems. We've got Uber, Lyft, and regional taxi apps. We've got DoorDash, Uber Eats, and dozens of restaurant delivery services. The market is intentionally fragmented by competition. Nobody wants one app controlling everything. Google tried something closer to a super app with Google Services integration, but even though Google owns Android, most Android users still use separate apps for everything. Apple did the same thing with iCloud integration, and most iPhone users still prefer Spotify over Apple Music, Gmail over Apple Mail, because the specialized apps are better at their specific job. So OpenAI's super app faces a paradox. The technology for integration exists, the platforms exist, but the market incentives don't necessarily favor consolidation. Yet OpenAI apparently believes that for AI, the dynamics are different. An AI super app isn't competing against fragmented specialty services, it's competing against fragmented AI services. And here's the thing that changes everything. Right now, everyone's scattered across ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and a dozen other AI tools. Let's talk about what Google, Microsoft, and Meta are doing, because they're not sitting idle. Google's approach is interesting. They're not building a true super app. They're building better integration across their existing ecosystem. Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Tasks, Gemini AI, they're starting to talk to each other more intelligently. Microsoft is doing something similar with Copilot, trying to thread AI assistants through Office, Teams, Windows, and their cloud services. But neither is building a unified consumer-facing super app the way OpenAI seems to be. Meta's a different story. Meta owns messaging through WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger, social through Facebook and Instagram, video through Reels and Watch, and increasingly, they're embedding AI assistants across all of those. They have 3 billion monthly active users on their platforms, an incomprehensible scale. But even Meta isn't consolidating those into a single super app. They're federating across brands. OpenAI's advantage is philosophical. They don't own fragmented platforms. They own something that could theoretically replace the need for all those separate tools. Here's the comparison. Google's integration strategy is like adding an intelligent assistant to your existing workspace. OpenAI's super app is like replacing your entire workspace with one intelligent system. One approach doesn't break existing business models. The other could be massively disruptive to companies that profit from tool fragmentation. That's why this matters so much. If OpenAI actually pulls off a super app that's genuinely better than using 5 different specialized services, the economics of software change fundamentally. And here's what most people overlook entirely. OpenAI doesn't yet have a native business model for a consumer super app. This is the critical question nobody's asking loudly enough. ChatGPT Plus costs $20 per month. That's roughly $240 per year. WeChat monetizes through payments. They take a cut of transactions. When someone sends money through WeChat, WeChat takes a percentage. Same with shopping, food delivery, ride-hailing. A 2 to 3% cut of billions in transactions adds up astronomically. OpenAI doesn't have that infrastructure yet. They're not a payment provider. They're not a ride-hailing company. They're not a restaurant operator. So how do they monetize a super app? The obvious answer is a subscription, maybe $50 per month, maybe $100 per month if it includes integration with premium services. But there's a problem that only works if the super app is genuinely so good that users prefer it to their existing tools. That's a really high bar. Most people won't pay extra just for convenience unless the convenience is truly transformative. There's another path: advertising. If the super app knows everything about you, your schedule, your preferences, your location, your shopping history, your health concerns, OpenAI could theoretically offer incredibly targeted advertising to brands. But that's a completely different business and comes with massive privacy concerns. Or partnerships. OpenAI could take a cut from integrated services. Uber pays OpenAI a commission when rides are booked through the super app. Hotels pay when bookings happen there. That's closer to WeChat's model, but requires convincing 1,000 different service providers that directing traffic through OpenAI's platform is worth the commission. The business model is genuinely unclear, and that's the kicker. It suggests OpenAI might still be in the exploration phase, trying to figure out whether a super app is even viable as a standalone business. Here's what's realistic to expect from OpenAI's super app, based on what we know about their trajectory and their constraints. First, it won't launch as a complete replacement for your existing tools overnight. The MVP, the minimum viable product, will probably focus on the highest value integrations first. Calendar integration makes sense because it helps the AI understand your availability. Email integration makes sense because that's where a lot of information lives. File management makes sense because users constantly upload documents to ChatGPT anyway, but you shouldn't expect complete integration with your bank account or your smart home in year one. Second, it'll probably be available on multiple platforms but feel most native on one, likely mobile, since that's where super apps thrive. The web version will exist, but the mobile app will be the flagship experience. Third, it'll probably start with an opt-in approach to data access. You'll explicitly authorize it to read your calendar, access your email, control your smart devices. That builds trust gradually instead of asking for everything upfront. And fourth, it'll almost certainly offer free tier access because that's how you build network effects. But the pro tier, where you get advanced features, priority processing, integrations with premium services, that's where the revenue comes from. So what should you do right now? If you care about AI's future direction, you should be thinking about what data you're comfortable sharing with a unified AI platform. Because if OpenAI's super app becomes successful, other companies will copy it. And the question of how much of your life you're comfortable integrating into a single AI service, that's increasingly going to be one of the defining choices of this decade. But wait, there's something nobody's talking about. OpenAI's super app ambition signals something fundamental about where AI is heading. Not toward specialized tools that do one thing brilliantly, toward platforms that do everything adequately and integrate seamlessly. That's a massive strategic bet, and it could reshape the entire industry. If they pull it off, the incentives flip. Instead of companies competing on AI model quality alone, they'll compete on integration quality, user trust, and ecosystem depth. Google and Microsoft will feel pressure to launch their own super apps or risk losing users to OpenAI. The startup AI ecosystem, all those cool new models and specialized agents, might find themselves eventually absorbed into super apps or left competing in narrow niches. The privacy implications are enormous too. A true super app knows more about you than any single company should. That creates both opportunity for incredibly personalized, helpful experiences and genuine risk if that data's ever breached or misused. You need to be thinking about those trade-offs now. Here's what to watch for: announcements about OpenAI partnerships with major service providers, rumors about a mobile-first redesign of ChatGPT, updates to their privacy policies around data retention and cross-service sharing. Those will be the signals that the super app is moving from concept to launch. And whether you think that's exciting or concerning probably depends on your philosophy about AI's role in daily life. Some people want AI as a tool they control and invoke when needed. Others want AI as an ambient presence that anticipates their needs and handles routine tasks automatically. OpenAI's betting on the latter. The super app vision is compelling, ambitious, and still under development. Follow for daily, AI news to stay updated as this story unfolds.